can't believe I wasted 10 years of my life doing these things. That's what my mentor, who built a 7-figure business from scratch, told me when I asked about his biggest regrets. He then shared the exact habits he had to eliminate to finally achieve success. In the next 15 minutes, I'll walk you through the 10 habits that successful people consciously avoid. These aren't obvious bad habits like postponing. They're subtle behaviors that seem harmless, but silently derail your progress every single day. What if the first 3 days of this challenge could completely transform how you approach each morning? I'm talking about foundation habits, the specific behaviors that create a cascade of positive changes throughout your entire life. These aren't just any habits. They're what Charles Duhigg calls Keystone habits, singular behaviors that trigger chain reactions, shifting other patterns almost automatically. Think of them as dominoes that, once tipped, cause dozens of other positive behaviors to fall into place with minimal effort. Here's where most people go wrong. They try changing everything at once. They wake up Monday morning with plans to meditate, journal, exercise, read, and practice gratitude, all before 7 a.m. By Wednesday, they're exhausted, overwhelmed, and ready to quit. This habit overload is precisely why 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February. Instead, successful people focus on establishing just one foundational habit at a time. Let's start with day 1, taking 100% responsibility. This might be the most powerful shift of all. When something goes wrong, average performers immediately look outward. The economy, their boss, bad luck. They operate from a victim mentality. Successful people do the exact opposite. They assume ownership over everything in their lives, even circumstances they can't fully control. Take Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx. When department stores initially rejected her product, she didn't blame the buyers. Instead, she asked herself what she could do differently, eventually getting Neiman Marcus to let her demonstrate the product in person. That ownership mindset turned her into a billionaire. Here's a simple 5-minute morning exercise to build this habit. Each morning, identify one challenging situation in your life. Write down 3 ways you're contributing to this problem and 3 specific actions you could take to improve it. This forces your brain to shift from blame to responsibility. On day 2, we focus on goal clarity. Vague aspirations like get healthier or be more successful are common, but they're also useless. Successful people define precisely what they want with crystal clarity. Elon Musk doesn't just say, build good rockets. He sets specific targets like develop reusable rockets that can land themselves and reduce space travel costs by 90%. This level of specificity creates a clear target for your brain to work toward. Try this visualization technique used by Olympic athletes. Spend 5 minutes each morning seeing yourself achieving your most important goal. Use all 5 senses. What do you see, hear, feel, smell, and even taste in that moment of achievement? Research from the Russian Olympic team found that athletes who spent 75% of their training time visualizing and 25% physically practicing performed better than those who did the opposite. Day 3 brings us to time blocking, arguably the most protective habit successful people practice. While average performers react to whatever comes their way, high achievers proactively defend their time. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett both use a simple calendar system where they block out large chunks of uninterrupted time for their most important work. They don't just hope to find time, they deliberately create it. Start by identifying your 1 to 2 most important tasks each day. Then block 90-minute distraction-free periods to work on them. Turn off notifications, close your door, and work with complete focus. Even just one such block per day puts you ahead of 95% of day 4 to 5. The growth accelerators. Explain. While time blocking puts you ahead of most people, there's a critical difference between steady progress and exponential growth. Ever wonder why some individuals seem to advance twice as fast despite working the same hours? The answer lies at the intersection of two powerful behaviors that create compound interest for your skills. Behaviors that almost all high performers practice religiously, but rarely discuss publicly. Let's talk about deliberate discomfort. The most successful people understand that true growth occurs precisely when you feel that uncomfortable stretch, that point where you're challenged just beyond your current abilities. It's not about random struggle. It's about structured, intentional challenges that target your weaknesses and push your boundaries every single day. This brings us to day 4, mentorship seeking. The highest achievers don't try to figure everything out alone. They actively seek guidance from those who've already walked the path they're on. Think about the relationship between Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. Jobs provided crucial guidance that helped Zuckerberg navigate the challenges of growing Facebook into the tech giant it became. The opportunity cost of not having a mentor is substantial. You're essentially choosing to learn through trial and error when someone else has already mapped the territory. Here's a simple 3-step framework for finding and approaching potential mentors, even if you feel you have nothing to offer initially. First, identify someone who has achieved what you want to achieve, but is only 2 to 3 steps ahead of you. Not so far that they can't relate to your current challenges. Second, research them thoroughly and find genuine points of connection or ways you might be able to add value to their life, even if it's small. Third, reach out with a specific time-bounded request that shows you respect their time. Could I have 15 minutes of your time to ask 3 specific questions about how you handled X? Notice there's no general pick-your-brain request. Successful people protect their time fiercely. Day 5 focuses on continuous learning, the second accelerator that creates exponential rather than linear growth. High performers transform what most people consider dead time into productive learning opportunities. Those commutes, waiting periods, and small gaps in your schedule, they're not wasted moments but opportunities for focused learning. The 15-minute learning method is particularly powerful. Rather than trying to dedicate hours at a stretch, successful people break learning into concentrated 15-minute blocks that happen consistently throughout the day. These blocks leverage techniques like spaced repetition and active recall, which studies show dramatically enhance retention compared to traditional memorization. The key is consistency. 15 minutes daily compounds into remarkable expertise over months and years. To implement this effectively, create a personalized learning system that automatically feeds you relevant information. Curate podcasts, articles, and books related to your field, then schedule specific times to engage with them. Use apps that deliver bite-sized learning during short breaks. Structure your physical environment to minimize distractions during these learning periods. Successful people often design their workspaces specifically to enhance focus and information absorption. The magic happens when these 2 habits, mentorship seeking and continuous learning, work in tandem. While most people experience linear growth, those practicing both habits create an exponential curve. The mentorship provides shortcuts and helps you avoid costly mistakes, while daily learning compounds your knowledge base. Together, they don't just add to your growth. They multiply it, creating acceleration that becomes increasingly powerful over time. The exponential curve we've been building is powerful, but it faces a hidden enemy that few people acknowledge. Even with perfect knowledge and incredible mentors, most people hit a wall where all their momentum collapses. The psychological research is clear. Motivation eventually fails everyone, which is why successful people don't rely on it at all. This is where habit resilience becomes essential. the ability to maintain positive behaviors even when life throws disruptions your way. Think about it. Your initial enthusiasm for any new habit acts like rocket fuel. It propels you forward with incredible force, but it's designed to burn out quickly. This is why 92% of people abandon their new habits within just 30 days. What separates those who maintain their habits from those who don't isn't willpower or motivation. It's a sustainability system. Science has confirmed what many of us feel intuitively. Willpower is a finite resource that depletes throughout the day. Each decision you make, each temptation you resist, drains this limited reserve. By evening, when many try to exercise or work on side projects, their willpower tank is empty. Day 6 focuses on developing self-discipline, but not in the way most people think. Rather than forcing yourself through sheer grit, successful people take a counterintuitive approach. They build what I call discipline muscles through micro-commitments, tiny, almost ridiculously small actions that are virtually impossible to avoid. Instead of committing to an hour-long workout, start with a promise to simply put on your exercise clothes. Rather than pledging to write for hours, commit to opening your document and writing a single sentence. These micro-commitments bypass the brain's resistance mechanisms and create forward momentum. Once you start, continuing becomes dramatically easier. The brilliance of this approach is that it recognizes the psychological reality of habit formation. By reducing the activation energy required to begin, you sidestep the need for massive willpower. Over time, these small wins accumulate, strengthening your ability to follow through consistently without relying on fleeting motivation. Day 7 addresses perhaps the most overlooked aspect of habit maintenance: environment design. Your surroundings exert a powerful, often invisible influence on your behavior. Successful people don't fight against their environment. They actively engineer it to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. This might mean rearranging your desk to minimize distractions, setting your phone to limit notifications during focus periods, or creating a dedicated space for your most important work. The environment becomes your ally rather than your adversary. Paired with strategic environment design is the practice of habit tracking. There's profound psychological power in visually recording your progress. Each day you maintain your habit creates a visible chain that you become increasingly reluctant to break. This tracking system provides immediate feedback and a sense of accomplishment that fuels continued action. The final piece of this sustainability system is implementing a weekly habit evaluation. Set aside 15 minutes each Sunday to ask yourself 3 simple questions about each habit. What worked well this week? What obstacles did I encounter? What one adjustment would make this habit easier to maintain? This reflection process allows you to refine your approach continuously, creating a self-correcting system that grows stronger over time. When these sustainability habits work together, micro-commitments, building discipline, environment design grows stronger over time. When these sustainability habits work together, micro-commitments, building discipline, environment design removing friction, tracking providing feedback, and weekly evaluations enabling refinement, they form a powerful self-reinforcing system. This system maintains momentum even when motivation fades or life becomes chaotic. So here's the real secret that ties everything we've discussed together. Success doesn't require superhuman willpower or extraordinary talent. What it demands is strategic sequencing of the right habits, creating a momentum that becomes virtually unstoppable. Starting tomorrow, I challenge you to implement just one habit per day for the next week. Begin with taking 100% responsibility on day 1, then add a new habit each subsequent day. This gradual layering approach prevents overwhelm while building a powerful system. The beauty of this approach is that you don't need perfection. You just need to start. Even imperfect action creates progress. So I'll leave you with this question to reflect on tonight. Which of these 7 habits will you implement first? Your transformation begins with that single decision.